SMTN.
How's it going, everybody, and welcome to Shin Megami Tensei Network Link 378. I'm your host, Spencer Presley, and with me is a pinboxing good time of a host. Boy, that was a terrible intro, but I'm going to throw it in there anyway. It's been a long week, everybody. I'm here with Rob of Pinbox. Rob, how are you doing today?
Not too bad. Thanks for having me back. It's been a hot minute.
It's been so long, and this seems like a joke that I'm going to say this. It has been so long that they have released, announced, and announced again 2 Persona remakes. We lived in a pre-Persona 3 remake world, and now we're in a waiting for the 4th to drop, but it's already been announced, which still does not seem real to me.
Yeah. No, now you've put it that way, that makes it sound even longer ago. Because I remember I knew about Persona 3 Reload when we spoke, but that wasn't public information at the time. And yeah, that's like out now. That's already a thing, and now there's Persona 4 on the way.
Yeah, and that's why we had to wait to get you back on the show, because you would have leaked Persona 4 Revival. So
Absolutely.
Atlas kindly they were like, we gotta separate these two till at least a couple months after Summer Games Fest. So we were nice enough to accommodate that into happening. But I mean, if you want to go ahead at any point during this show to announce or let loose any other unannounced games or just will them into existence, please do not let me hold you back.
I mean, Persona 5 Remake might be a thing. Who knows at this point?
Oh, no, you can't do that. You can't will that into existence. Shareholders excited, fans erratic.
They love their Persona 5 games. I mean, why not just remake it?
The problem is right now.
After all.
It's the problem, ironically. Oh, it is. It is old as dirt, to be fair. But what is so funny about that is we've now lived so long that like Persona 4 has become the new Persona 3. So because like we're still in that kind of marketing tailspin of Reload, and Persona 5 is just ever around and present and stuff for it, I like am constantly shocked, like when they're doing pop-up shops or like doing merch announcements, they're like, all right guys, we've got our new Persona collab with Persona 3 and 5, and I'm like, but you guys just announced your remake. Why not just like include? It would be like, it feels like you're going out of your way to leave one of them out, even though obviously 1 and 2 are sitting there starving and dead at the bottom of the pool. But it's like, listen, guys, like listen, we can't just all act like we're not going to pretend like Persona 3, 4, and 5 aren't just kind of the poster child at all the time. Like, it's not like, oh, sorry guys, we don't have enough room in our hearts for all 3 of you. We can only give 2 of our favorite shoulder and attention.
It's funny you say that, because before 3 Reload was announced, arguably there was like no Persona 3 merch either. Like that was
it had been a really long time,
Yeah.
because like the only stuff that existed out there was for the dancing game, and because that was such like a sales disappointment, there wasn't a lot of licensing deals that came out of it, especially at the time. So the wave just kind of kept going for like P4 to a much lesser extent, but obviously like P5.
Yeah, 100%. But there was a lot of P4 merch around that time. Like P4 and P5, obviously there was merchandise everywhere. You could get candles, for crying out loud.
My favorite random piece of P5 merch will always be, and I regret not buying it because I don't think they sell it anymore, was like, I think it was H&M they had one Persona 5 shirt, and it was literally just a plain white T-shirt with a PNG of Morgana on it. And I was like, "This is how you know we've gone too far. We've we've let too many people get their hands in the cookie jar for licensing when we're just like, all right, H&M, here's your PNG, enjoy your shirt."
That's the thing, though. That's ultimately what licensors want. Like they wanted to just get into the mainstream kind of market. It's one of the first questions they'll ask you when you contact them. They're like, oh well, they really wanted to get into retail. Like retail's like the huge thing that they want things to go in. So yeah, I could
That's
see
true.
I could see them absolutely just turning around to H&M and going, yep, there you go, take that, that's fine, as long as it's in your shop, we don't care.
That's a really good point because I remember one of the big things over here. I don't know what equivalent shop would be for you guys over there, but like the most kind of mainstream shop I ever saw Persona in finally outside of like a video game store was like when they started popping up in Hot Topics over here, which was kind of
Yeah.
like it's mainstream, but like obviously it's not like a brick and mortar like a Walmart, but like there's enough Hot Topics in every state that you're gonna see them at a lot of places. Whereas like now I would say like Atlas stuff is like it used to be like, oh wow, there's a thing for this Atlas game here. That's crazy. Versus like they do collabs with not only different like merchandising, but like they'll do pop-up shops, collab events, like restaurant collabs and things, and like
Yeah.
nothing can be a surprise when everything is kind of a possibility, which is the weird thing.
Yeah, 100%. We don't have Hot Topic over here. I'm in the UK, just for listeners who don't know that. I think the closest thing we've got at this point would probably be like HMV, which is meant to
Oh,
be more of a music
HMV is
store.
HMV 100% is a perfect analogy for that because yeah, they definitely yeah, HMV would used to be really for music, but now it's like you can go in there and buy clothes, merch, blind boxes,
Yeah,
whatever,
it's a
trading
lot of
cards.
licensed stuff in there now, 100%. But yeah, that's kind of the closest thing that we've got. But yeah, I have seen many things at Hot Topic over the years. I've gone, if there was one of those around here, I'd be suckered into that. But alas, they've never bothered to come over. So
So also, I guess because we're just doing such a bang up job on the introductions here for it, in case people have fallen into a coma over the last 3 years. Who the heck are you? And speaking of selling licensed merchandise, what the heck is Penbox?
that's a good question. Basically, Pinbox is a online store run by myself, and I sell licensed merchandise for a variety of different licenses. We specialize in pins in boxes, thus the name. Um, and yeah, I mean we've kind of expanded well beyond that now. We went through t-shirts, wall scrolls. We do high quality clay prints. We've had bags, keychains. It's got to the point now where we stock a lot of other items that perhaps only available, internationally or in Japan. So we've kind of become a one-stop shop, especially for Falcom merchandise. But we are kind of expanding into other things like Shin Megami Tensei, which is why I'm here today. But yeah, we've done a lot of things over the years at this point.
I mean, listen, if I had the willpower and the strength to just only talk about Tokyo Xanadu with you for 2 hours, I would gladly make that happen. Unfortunately, I know what that would do to my analytics, so I'm going to resist as much as I can today to not talk about the
Okay.
most obscure Falcom franchise of all time. But I mean, it is crazy, especially like how some things have like changed. I would say drastically for you guys, especially over the last 2 years when we really started talking versus now, and even just like other crazy stuff of like with and again Falcom adjacent, but like even something as much as like doing the Japanese and now like English like Trails trading card is super crazy. That like big trail basically like I'm trying to think like what's the best way because I know you guys call it a supply box, but it's like your Trails First like the the Trails in the Sky 1
Oh,
remake box you guys are doing, it's basically like,
yeah.
okay, what if you wanted a collector's edition that just wasn't with the game, but it was just a bunch of stuff you would see in a crazy big collector's edition box?
Pretty much. Yeah, that was yeah, so basically, like, I'd always kind of I can't even remember, I might have mentioned this when we had that last conversation on the podcast. Um but like I always in my head I wanted like my dream was to work on kind of a collector's edition, something that would make people go, "Damn, that thing's like crazy." Um Obviously the biggest hurdle with that inherently is the fact that you need a game in it. Um and just logistically that is a nightmare. And I kind of just thought to myself, I was like, well, does it need the game? And I kind of came to the conclusion that no was the answer. Now, this has been a topic that has been widely debated. Um, because a lot of people disagree with that sentiment. They say, well, if it doesn't have the game, it's not a collector's edition. End of story. That's that. Um, but I kind of argue that, well, if it had the game, how is that any different to you just like buying a copy of the game separately? Like, I personally I don't see the difference, because ultimately all that's going to happen is you're not going to get the game on launch. Like, and I mean, and let's be honest, like, I'm one guy that's doing this. There are much bigger companies who have failed to, supply a collector's edition day of launch. Um, because the logistics behind it are just an absolute nightmare. Especially when you factor in different languages, then you've got different regions. You've got ESRB ratings, or you've got PEGI ratings, so you could have like different you know SKUs just for that. And then I think Australia has another one. Don't quote me on that.
Oh no, I mean,
Just
yeah, you've got all the different certification
it's
versions, and then it
chaos. Yeah,
multiplies with each system it's on. So then you have to do one for PlayStation, then you have to do one for
yeah,
Switch, and then what if people want them on PC, or what if people
yep,
don't want it? Then now you've just multiplied what should be 3 SKUs into like 18 SKUs.
yep. And on top of that, to make things even more complicated in my case specifically, with Falcom only have the rights for the distribution in definitely Japan. I know they've got them in a few other countries. I'm not 100% confident, but obviously they've then sub-licensed that already to Gung Ho. A lot of their other titles have gone to Nice America. Before them was Exceed, of course. Um, but it's just more layers to an already complicated process, because then you've got to try and negotiate these separate contracts with all these other companies. And the reality is that I don't think it really adds anything, because the people who want to buy it digitally are just going to buy it digitally anyway. So having to put that extra cost on it doesn't really make sense for those guys, because they don't want it. Um, PC is, let's face it, it's pretty much a digital only realm at this point. There are some exceptions with the likes of like GOG and stuff, but by and large, people are just going to get it on Steam or Epic Games Store or GOG. Um, you know, Again, they're not really going to want it in the box again. And the reality is that you just got a much better chance of getting it day of launch just buying it locally. I mean, logistically, for me to ensure that every parcel I sent out worldwide was going to arrive on the same day it's just impossible. And then you end up with people complaining that they haven't received theirs on the day of launch, and it's just, I don't see how that's a good time for anyone involved. But that's
Which
that's my kind of
which
take on it.
also then can like lead to another bag of worms. I mean, I feel like especially back in the day, pre 2020 times, it was like, oh man, yeah, you might not get this at launch. Whereas like now, a lot of these like online only big collector's edition things for fans, it's like, oh yeah, you might not even get this for 12 to 18 months after launch. So like
Yeah.
that does the kind of stuff where I'm like, especially from a fan perspective who sees it happen all the time, I look at these license holders and I'm like, obviously it's easy money for them because they are just licensing it out and collecting their money that way, but like there has to be like a line where it's like the negative press you get from this versus the money you received, like what makes it balance out for them, because there are just some times where like even companies big or small, it's like so crazy the like negative reaction it can get. And I mean, rightfully so. Like I remember, I think the longest I ever waited for something once, I had ordered something online and I got up to like 32 months of waiting, and I'm like,
My word.
it's like we were talking about like how like crazy it is for it, and it's like, yeah, like at a certain point you can say you have things going wrong with production, but it's like clearly there very rare reasons, give or say, like let's say a Kickstarter or something. Ironically, like with the Kickstarter, I kind of get it because like you're there from conception point, but even now, like Kickstarters don't even do what Kickstarters used to do anymore. Kickstarter is just basically treated like a pre-order platform when the product is
Yeah.
already done. Like stuff like that back in the day where, hey, we have an idea, we're gonna need this money to make it. It's like, nope, we've got the idea, we've got a publisher, we need this much money to make it happen, and then if you want any extra cool stuff, you'll get it in a couple of months, which is I think how most people want it these days.
Yeah, I think the issue is a lot of people have been burnt over the years. And that applies to even the bigger companies out there where the wait times have been silly, shall we say. I mean, I've ordered collector's editions for stuff before, and a year later I'm just sat there like, so I ordered that thing that's still not here. Um, uh, yeah, it's just and the thing is that if I'm waiting on the game that's included in that, then that's just, I mean, that just sucks. You know. Um, I mean, I don't know what it's like in other places in the world, but for me personally, like I have absolutely no expectation that something's going to arrive on the day it should do. Um, I ordered the collector's edition of Kingdom Hearts 3 and just bought it digitally because I was like, I'm just not doing it. Like I'm happy to I just want to play it. Like I'm not waiting however long it's going to take for Square Enix to actually get this out.
I honestly wouldn't be shocked if we kind of get to a point where buying physical games, I don't ever expect it to go away as long as disk drives still ever exist, but like we're going to get to a thing where, hey, you bought something online, and if there's going to be like either a really long wait or like a really long production line for discs and they're not ready to ship out, where the company, they just treat it like when you buy a Blu-ray movie. It's like, here's a digital code. Like, if you're buying the physical disc, you're
Yeah.
probably not going to be against just having a download version with it, which, like, I totally get. But I gotta say, considering I would say, like, the like first chapter box you guys did earlier this year, I would hope the reception was pretty good because like I hadn't told you this, but like we have a ton of like Falcom fans like specifically who are also like Atlas fans, but like Trails 1 Remake has just had so much kind of hype and anticipation for it over the last couple months that the funniest thing for me was looking at this announcement and release when this got revealed, along with the official collector's edition that like Limited Run Games was doing over here in the West.
Yeah.
And even though you guys had obviously a very different kind of item in a more expensive box and everything with it, I
Mm.
heard from more people because yours was revealed first and stuff that they were like, "Oh well, I'm fine with this. I don't need to get the collector's edition." They were like they enjoyed yours over the other if they were only going to get one or if they were getting both. Like universally, and I don't know if it was. I mean, hey, the bags are pretty cool. People love bags. I don't know what you would think. We've got a lot of bags in society. People love a good in-game video game bag.
Yeah. It's funny because I've spoken to a lot of people and like pretty much every single item in that box, like I've had someone be like, "That's the one that made me get it." Like, and for me that's just awesome. That like every single item in there has, someone has come up to me and been like, "Hey, that is the item that sold it to me." Obviously, the vast majority of people, they want the augment. I can't blame them. That thing is genuinely awesome. Um, but yeah, I mean, to be honest, I was very, very nervous about what Gung Ho and Limited Run were going to be doing with that collector's edition. That was the source of a lot of kind of like internal strife of like, oh boy, like, because I mean, let's face it, like they're the you know they're the they're the biggest company there is when it comes to this stuff. Or at least to my knowledge, Limited Run is like, if they're doing a collector's edition of something, generally that's meant to be the kind of the best collector's edition that there is out there of something. So it's kind of daunting to be making something and having absolutely no idea what they're doing on the other end. Yeah.
So obviously, I don't need you to kind of get into specifics with it, but I had heard pretty much nothing but kind of good things from it when the pre-orders and everything sort of went up for it. Was it to your expectations of what you were expecting? Did it like surpass them, exceed them? Like where were you kind of at once it was finally out there and announced for everybody?
It's wildly exceeded my expectations. So I kind of went into it knowing that it was expensive, and that you kind of have to make a decision when you're developing these products of like, right, well, realistically, where is this going to fall, on the pricing spectrum? And I was like, well, obviously you're gonna have Falcom do their collector's edition in Japan. You're gonna have, because they announced it pretty early on. Limited Run's gonna do theirs, and I was like, right, well, I need mine to be something really special, really to stand out, at that stage. So I was like, right, well, in that case, I'm going all in. But the downside to that was the price kind of had to follow suit because I mean, the more stuff you include, just the more expensive things get. That's just kind of how it is. So my expectations were really tempered because I wasn't sure how many people, would have that kind of money to be able to spend on something like this. So I kind of had some, expectations, and no, I was absolutely blown away. I think the numbers ended up being around triple what I had expected. So,
Oh wow.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
when eventually when eventually shipping comes, are you just going
Oh
to like
boy.
make a throne out of all the boxes for these?
Oh god.
Like, will you be able just to make another house out of all these boxes?
Um. So, funnily enough, I had an email earlier this week, about shipping, specifically stuff arriving to us. So all of the boxes, that we've ordered for it, because it comes in a giant presentation box, that's fully printed, and yeah, we ordered them. It turns out they're a little bigger than I expected for the volume. So I had an email and they were like, "Oh hey, so your container is going to be arriving into the UK on this date. Can we deliver it on this date?" And I was like, "When you say container, what exactly do you mean by that?" And they turn around and they're like, "Oh yeah. No, you're like, well, your container with your stock that you've ordered." I was like, "Container?" I was like, hold on. I've got a tracking number for this. So I pull up the tracking number. It's a 40-foot container. And I don't know if you know just quite how big a 40-foot container is, but it's rather big. Um, so there have been some panicked conversations happening on our end because like I did the math, like, and I'm still confused as to how it's ended up filling a 40-foot container, because it shouldn't fill a 40-foot container, but here we are. So yeah, that'll be fun. So yeah, lots and lots of boxes. Too many to build a throne from. You could argue.
This is like that when you're at the store and you're like, all right, I need a 12 by 10 by 8 box. And they're like, well, we've got a 10 by 10 by 10, and the next up size would be 24 by 24 by 24. And I'm like, we had to, well, there had to have been a smaller size somewhere. We can't just double up the next size.
Nope, they just doubled it.
Well, now you'll have your own commercial grade storage container for the rest of your life.
I mean that would be cool. But sadly they take it after you've spent 3 hours to empty it apparently. So
okay.
That'll be fun.
at least they'll pick it up, because I can also imagine it'd be one of those things of, well, no, now you got to call some other company, then they pick it up. Yeah, we just drop it off, we don't unload it, that's your job, and then you got to call someone else to go get the remains.
Yeah. I mean, I thought they would just deliver it in like boxes, but apparently not. That's yeah. So, you live and you learn, and I think for the braces supply box, there's been a lot of learning, because I think, to be honest, most of the issues have just come from the volume, and it was kind of getting to a point where I was kind of like, okay, do I kind of stop taking orders now, because we're getting to a point now where I'm kind of wondering if this is feasible for little old me to actually do.
Yeah, because you mentioned that it's still mostly just kind of been a one-man show for you guys, even over the years. Because what year did Penbox start up again?
So that was 2020.
So, like, obviously,
early 2020.
There's going to be like different levels of kind of scale and stuff for it. Have you, at this point with the company, looked into like, okay, is it worth trying to maybe get someone even for part-time or even like full-time or any kind of assistance, or is it still at that point where obviously some days are going to be busier than others? Would you like to try and keep it lean enough that it's just you for as long as possible?
So I have tried hiring people before now. Unfortunately, it hasn't quite worked out for various reasons. At the moment, there is someone working with me, but they are pretty much solely doing production on the bracelet supply box, because a lot of that stuff is getting made in-house. So that's literally all they've been doing for the last 2 months is just, yeah, getting stuff for the bracelet supply box, but that just kind of had to happen because of just the sheer numbers, and there are only so many hours in the day, so I kind of accepted very early on of like, right, this realistically is not something that I can do by myself, just simply because time. So
no, I totally get that. And for you guys, obviously the funny thing is, it's not like well, this was our one product for the year, great, we can kind of we can coast, there's no other big launches this year, we've got it. Because when we invited you on last time, you were launching the first, I want to say 8 pens from SMT5. It was the 5 normal size pens, and then you had 3 of the XLs,
2
right?
XLs, yeah.
There was 2 XLs,
yeah. Yeah.
Because we eventually got to a point where I was like, well, I desperately want to bring you back on and be annoying and ask you a lot of questions about how did the old pins do, but I also first and foremost wanted to be like, hello, I'm waiting for Wave 2. Please, can we will this into existence any faster? To the point where, honestly, I remember I even had someone reach out to me, and they were like, Spencer, did I miss Wave 2? Did Wave 2 happen? And then, because I had a scare where, I think it was like probably a month ago or whatever now, that I had seen this video with a Kate Sith pen from the SMT5 lineup, and I was like, hold on, I know I'm not the most on top of it person of all time, but like I try to pride myself on knowing when these things happen. That like I remember, I think it was even before messaging you, I was like, looking for it on eBay or looking for like any like tweets or anything that had come out, and I was like, okay, either somehow I have missed this release and I was extremely negligent of the second wave of SMT 5 pins coming out, or they sold so well you had to nuke them from your website. You're like, we don't even want people to know we had these in stock. They blew through the stock that fast, and I had to reach out to you.
Yeah, that was an interesting message to get. But yeah, no, you're right. It's been like a long time, and far longer, and it's just been kind of one of those where it's just been weird things stacking on top of each other, and yeah, it's just been one of those. But no, getting that message was very weird because obviously, like, we haven't announced anything. Never mind released anything, and then you're telling me, oh, someone's selling one at a video game expo. Very confusing from my side.
Can I take a guess? Because this would be me if I was you as the business owner of something we're working on is out there that hasn't been announced. That's already something to be worried about. Here's me. Here's where my psychopathic mind goes to right away.
Okay.
It's
I'm ready.
it's not perfectly stuck to the back. It's loose in the box. It's rattling in there. Like you see it in the little. It's not like even like it's in the middle of the pen box. It's like clearly not attached or attached. You're like, oh man, it looks so sloppy now. Like it's not in the middle. It should be perfectly centered. People are gonna think these things just dangle around in there like keychains.
Yep. Yeah, definitely. Because that's not the case now. No, I mean, anything that we put on now has a piece of acrylic that like literally holds a pin in place, and yeah, you want to move that, you'll have to literally destroy the box. So yeah, I mean, the thing is that the only time that we actually had stuff like that was samples that we were sending out for approval. So
The one thing I tried to do, and I haven't had any luck with it because what I would have done was if I had found that pen myself, obviously A, I would have reached out to you. My other one was I would have been like, oh, I'm gonna buy it 100%. Just because, well, A, I don't have to wait for it, and then B, I'll just randomly have this weird piece of merch in my collection. But the other thing would be I wanted to know two things because I wasn't there when I found out about this. It was just from a YouTube video. It was like, I want to know who the booth is, not in
yep.
the sense of like, oh, how did you get it? My only thing was like, what do you think he priced it at? Because like clearly it wasn't like he had a pallet of them. He had one, and it was like, is this like $5 for you? Is this like are you like, well, this is unreleased, so maybe it's $100? And I'm like this is like how do you, because like even with your guys' stuff, like obviously like the pins you have that like sell out will sometimes go onto the secondary market like Facebook Marketplace or like eBay, but like something like this, I'm like I literally would be just so morbidly curious of how like a convention booth was like selling this. I'm like I wouldn't even know how to justify it. Like, what did you like? What did you pay for it? What are you selling it for? Are you just like, did you find it on the side of the road? You just trying to get rid of it? Like, what are we doing here?
Yeah, I mean, I mean, that's the thing though. Like, they must have like tried to like research it and been like, oh, I can't find anything.
Yeah, that's a good point too.
So,
Because since you guys hadn't even announced it, it's like,
yeah,
how's anyone gonna know if it's legit? How are you gonna like? It's like because I think what was it? It was like number 7 or whatever on it. So it's like clearly it wasn't like it was
yeah,
part of the first wave, but like all the art you guys did for it is completely original. The only person who would have like recognized the art outside of like the outer logo and stuff like would be the artist and stuff. So like that's like the funny one of like I'm just sure it like came in as just like one of those random things and just would be like that's the thing like a one in a million thing of like I'm like the one guy who's gonna find that and be like, oh, I know what that is.
I mean, the craziest thing is that like if it wasn't for that video, I'd have had no idea. you know, and by extension, you reaching out and messaging me, like I wouldn't have had a clue that there was even, you know, it makes me wonder, like, well, you know, was it just that one? Like, did they have others that had already sold, you know, earlier that day at the convention or something? Like, you just don't know, do you? It's
I
crazy.
know someone out there has your just sort of what would be the wildest thing to like be out there with it of. Oh, I forgot the name of the who was the YouTuber you guys announced the Trails box with?
Oh, the Kaseki nut.
Oh yeah, oh yes, yes, yeah. That would be like, imagine if after that video went up, you were like, "Hey guys, thanks for my video. Check out the link below. I've got an auction up on eBay if you want to buy the samples. we'll sell it to the highest bidder."
Yeah. Yeah, so random.
It is just one of those wild things where it's like things you don't ever expect to happen versus like, well, I can't legally stop you, but would be nice if you don't do it. Like that's basically the thing.
I think that I'm assuming they didn't even know. Like that's, you know, it's kind of just I yeah. Yeah, the whole thing is baffling to me. Um but yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, that's the thing though. Like I had someone message me a screenshot of eBay, and like one of our pins is sold out on the site at the moment, like, and there's someone trying to sell it for like $200 on eBay. And I'm like, guys, really? Like, what is this?
I was gonna say, for you, are there ever any funny instances of like when you'll see a pen that's out or is going? Because my favorite thing is when you'll see stuff on like eBay that is treating it like it's this crazy rare out of print item when you could still buy it from like the official manufacturer's website or whatever. Like for the longest time, Undertale had this weird issue where if you went on eBay, because you couldn't just go to a GameStop and buy it, or even Amazon, it would be like, well, if you want a physical copy of Undertale on the Switch or the Vita, it's going to cost you like $80 on eBay. Where Fangamer was just selling them for like 25 plus shipping on their website, and like I would like reach out to them and they'd be like, yeah, I don't know why people keep buying the eBay versions for $80. It's like, we ship worldwide, they're right there, if you Google it, it'll come up eventually.
I mean, I guess that's it, isn't it? It will come up eventually, you know. And I think a lot of people, they'll just assume you go to eBay and just that's going to be the cheapest place. Yeah, it's weird. But I
So
don't know.
kind of going,
You'd think if you were spending that sort of money, you would kind of check around.
yeah, and that's always the weird one, especially with stuff of like there's because this one's always a big one, especially as like a big video game collector like myself, because I definitely pride myself way more on games more than like items around the games or like merchandise. Like I have some stuff that I'll buy a lot of merch of, but there's just only so much money and so much merch around that like there will never
Sure.
be a well. I'll never be whelmed. It's like there's I promise you outside of the Falcom offices, there is no one out there who's like, "Well, I've done it. I own all the Falcom merch." It's like, no, there's just always more or there's something you don't know about. But the thing also is there's always like and Atlas is especially guilty of this of in so many other franchises, but there is a difference between something that is rare and something that is expensive. An item can be rare and expensive, but it doesn't always happen that way. Like I have some of the technically rarest merch out there that people just don't know about. And so because
Yeah.
the market doesn't demand it to be like that crazy out there, that's one of those things. Like another good example, let's say not even knowing any of your numbers, let's say like the Trails First Bracer box was printed at a fourth of the quantity that that limited run collector's edition box was.
Yep.
And then for no other reason other than name recognition, their box, even though it is printed 4 times more into Oblivion, their box is the more expensive one, even though technically yours will be the harder one to find in like 10 years from now.
Yeah. It, it is weird. I know some of the stuff that like I've sold throughout the years is ungodly rare, just because it hasn't sold. Um, So yeah, like I know for a fact there are some things that like Pinbox has made that yeah, if you've got that, it's like you've got like less than like 1 of 50. Um, but it's one of those though, isn't it? I mean, it depends what you're buying it, isn't it? I mean, if you're buying it for its value, then that's one thing. But if you're buying it for just kind of collecting it and enjoying the franchise, then I think that's a better way to go by and large.
The thing that always surprises me, and I think I even commented on this last time we talked, was with your guys' stuff especially, I always kind of expect people to sort of treat it like similar with like Figma or even like Funko Pops in the sense of keeping them in the box. You can display them on the box. But with Pinbox stuff, I'm always shocked whenever I see it on the secondary market. It is almost always without the box. Like someone used it and is now just like selling it in like a pin collection or something, which I always find surprising. Of like, it's kind of funny. Of like, I don't know if it's just especially with how much bigger pin collecting just continues to keep getting. Of I am always one of those people of like I have a couple of pins that I have in my collection, but I don't have enough to have like a pin board. But I know so many people who are into pin collecting where they have literally like a pin wall. Like they have multiple collages of pin board walls.
Yeah. I think I don't know. I mean, I could be wrong here, but I get the impression that the people who are keeping it in the box on a shelf are just keeping them. Like they just don't want to let them go. Whereas perhaps the people that are opening them are a little more willing to kind of let go of them once they've, I don't know, moved on from the franchise or whatever it may be that's kind of led to that. Um, but yeah, I mean, I know a lot of people just keep hold of them. They don't want to let them go.
Kind of going back to the launch of the SMT5 one initially for you
Mm.
guys. I remember when we were talking about it, it was obviously you've done stuff outside of like Falcom, like you guys have worked with like Way Forward and other series in the past and even now. But for you, sort of leading up to it and then sort of the reception with it, what was that kind of like for you? Because even at the time, but especially so now, it's kind of one of those things where, as much as I love SMT5, and especially with how much more the series blew up in popularity after the release in 2021, it is definitely still the black sheep of like Atlas franchises of like it's popular, but like to a much lesser degree than like something as mainstream as Persona. Like I'm not walking into, I'm not, I have never walked into like a store at all outside of something like an Atlas event and be like, oh, cool, here's a piece of Raito merchandise. Here's an SMT5 T-shirt.
It's yeah, SMT is definitely a strange one in Atlas's catalog. Um, it you're right. It sells enough where obviously it makes Atlas money, but it's definitely nowhere near the heights of the Persona series. Um, I mean, for me, like I've always enjoyed kind of making merch available for stuff that doesn't get as much love. So for me, that's not really a huge issue. And the reception that we got from the original launch was positive. Though I didn't see really much in the way of bad comments. Um, but yeah, I think it's been one of those though, just with the length of time it's taken between then and now. Um, yeah, that's probably gonna be more of the issue because obviously we're well past the launch of that, and even the launch of Vengeance.
I
Um,
was gonna. I should have joked about it
yeah,
earlier. I was like, we joked about because I think one of the things we talked about was the box design, doing the Roman numeral numbers instead of like alphanumeric style with it. Whereas like now, I was like, all right, how far back in time do I need to go for us just to slap the Vengeance logo on these bad boys? Even though obviously, like, well, I say obviously, like, most people would actually assume that. They would be like, oh, well, you probably just want to use the Vengeance license, but then here's the spoiler, everybody. You may notice this outside of Atlas themselves, no company, at least in terms of releasing anything, has licensed any merch from Vengeance. It's only been from SMT5. And Atlas is very specific about which game version gets which merch and what.
Huh. I did not know that. You're right, though. Atlas is very specific about what licenses will get kind of what versions of games will get licensed for licenses. You are right with that. I did not know that there had been nothing for Vengeance, though. That's very interesting.
Yeah, so if you would like to be the first, please, because there are so many times where I've been like just dumbfounded of like even merch recently coming out. Like I've worked with and talked with like the people at like 86 Fangamer as well,
Oh yeah,
and like other
yep.
companies and stuff who do a lot of Atlas merchandise all the time, whether it be like T-shirts, posters, and pins, even on their own. And it's one of those things where I don't know, like it is just so strange of I get it from the side of like a company of like you want to be specific about what a logo or even like what you're when it says you're licensing something, uh what the customer might see or what they expect when they see that logo. Because I have two examples that came up with this. I remember when I had Josh from Limited Run on, he had brought up a good point with they did that run of Persona 4 Golden like 2 years ago, and one
Yes.
of their big collector's edition boxes used the PS2 cover art. And they were like, "Oh, well, this," because they always do callback stuff. If like something was a port
Yes.
of a PS2 game or something, they like to do that a lot. So they were going to use the PS2 cover art for the collector's edition box. And then after pre-orders had been sold, Atlas came back to them and said, "No, that you have the rights to Golden. You don't have the rights to Vanilla. So you can't use anything from the original PS2 release." And another one that came up would be looking at uh, a lot of like Raito remastered stuff that's been coming out recently is all exclusively tied to the remaster one. They're not doing anything from the old original. Like they're not using that original logo. They're not using any of the original like promo things or anything like that. They want to have like a clean break of like when you see the remake or the remaster, you know it is that one and not the original. Even to the point where there was something even, and I'm not like in a trivializing way, but even something like a cookbook. So like let's see, yeah, next month they're doing like a Persona 3, 4, and 5 cookbook, and in between the announcement and the release, they announced the remake of Persona 4, and I remember even joking about it at the time because the logos on the cover, the temporary cover, was Persona 3 Reload, Persona 4, and
Oh.
then Persona 5, and I'm like, and I messaged the author, and he said he was going to look into it for it, and I'm sure it would change whatever licensing deal they had, but it's like
Yep.
you would even think is that this is like how much more on brand it would be of just have all the current versions on there because like you already have all the it's not like P4 wasn't on there and now you're trying to sneak it on. It's like no, it's like you find out, oh, all right, I got the license, and then like the day after you publish it, it's like, oh well, here's the new one though, everyone's going to talk about this one, they're not going to talk about the old one.
Yes. Yeah, it's exactly like that. They are very specific with licenses and the titles connected. Um so um I do have a license for Vengeance.
All right, world exclusive.
Um that was a separate conversation that had to take place. And it's one of the reasons that kind of everything has just taken so long. Um yeah. So I mean it's been one of those. But yeah, so no, I'm very deep into doing Vengeance stuff now.
Because
Um
at least from like a fan's perspective, my initial worry was that the weight because you'd even I'm pretty sure we had even talked about it when Wave 1 came out, that like the plan wasn't just to do those first 7 and then see what to do from there. Like there was more initial waves planned to
Yeah,
be
no,
sooner.
yeah,
And
no,
my
we,
worry and my worry was like, oh, I hope they hadn't sold that soft that it was like, oh, let's burn it down. Like I was hoping it wasn't like that being the reason.
yeah, no, I mean, that's fair from an outside perspective. That makes complete sense. Um, yeah, no, I think I did mention it. That pins like 6 to 10 were like already done. Back when we spoke then. Which kind of just shows just like how much of a bit of a long-winded process it's been since then, and that's been for a number of reasons. I think the main one was purely because we changed like our packaging. And the problem is that as soon as you change anything, you need sign off. And you kind of have to go like 3 steps back to do that. So that ended up happening couple of times just due to various things. I'm trying to recall now. We had 20. We spoke back. Yeah, they launched back. Oh no! Oh no! It was pre-orders back in 23. That was the other change. Was we changed things to mostly getting rid of pre-orders.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so like pins that come out now, like they just come out and you can just buy them on the site. And they'll just get shipped, next day, or, if it's weekend, then Monday. Um, so yeah, that was a huge change, because it means then you've got that kind of like time gap that you would normally see things go up for pre-order, but then you got to wait for the production. But if you're just skipping all of that, then you inherently just have that time delay because you've still got to wait for stuff to get made. So yeah, there was that side of things. And then dude. I'm just going through kind of my year then, because there was a lot that went on.
I was gonna say, like, I can only imagine, because like the amount of work that goes into making one item happen, and then just doing that on a okay, but now, because like I don't know, like for you, like what would you say, like in a normal year, how many items would you say you guys normally put up on the website for sale, in terms of like,
I
all
mean,
right, we are debuting and we're putting this out.
see, like I can't even give an answer to that, you know, um, because that's the thing. I mean, weirdly, like last year was mainly about because we did a huge change to the packaging because we were just running into a lot of issues with the boxes and the way that they were. Um, so that got completely redesigned, and then it was kind of one of those of like, right, well, we don't want to leave everything just kind of stuck where it was. So, then it was a case of having to go back through all the designs and redoing all of them. And because I had the genius idea of having custom boxes for every single pin we sell, it turns out that that's actually a lot of work. So there was all of that. So last year, like, there wasn't a huge amount of new things simply because I was kind of like getting everything up to the new standard, and kind of updating all the um, uh, product pages on the website, and just doing all of that, and that just takes a lot of work, and obviously all of that then also needs to be run by Atlas. They also have to sign off on everything. Falcom had to sign off on everything. There were some companies we were working with that refused to sign off on it, so unfortunately we had to move on from them. But yeah, so last year there wasn't as much really put out simply because my focus was trying to get everything to this new standard. And then this year has been the vast majority of my time has been put into the braces supply box. So again, I haven't had as much time to kind of just do mainline pins. So it's kind of been one of those where it's hard to actually know what a normal number should be, because I always end up doing something random that you would think is unrelated, but is at the same time.
Well, yeah, especially I'm even just thinking like even just looking at the bracer box, it's like that's you trying to launch like 20 items in one, and that's like just one thing you're selling, but it has all these different unique parts and components into it.
Yeah, and I mean, a lot of that as well. I mean, a lot of it was kind of stuff that we were comfortable with doing, that we'd done before. Obviously pins, we're very comfortable with doing that sort of stuff. But then there was some things where it was like, oh, that's new. So like the augment was its own beast, essentially, to even approach. But I was like, no, if we're doing like a super collector's edition, like it needs to have an augment. That was just, I was like, if the augment fails, then like scrap the whole thing. Like I just it needs to have the augment. For me that was just like key. Yeah, it had to have it, and it had to have the removable quartz. It had to, like.
You're like, the foot is going down. There will no
Yeah, it's
budging. There
just
will be no budging if this does not happen.
it's just too cool to not have, like, you to not be able to just like swap out the quartz to like the colors you want. Like it's such, it sounds so petty, but I was like, no, like I know if I was on the other end of this, I'd be like, why can't I change the quartz out? Like,
No, I totally get that, because it's especially one of those things of when you're such a fan of something, it's like the last thing you want is to be like, especially because again the buck stops and starts with you. It's like we can't just blame. Oh man, yeah, management. We had to draw a line. Sorry, there's no one above you to stop you. It's only you to enable you.
pretty much, but at the same time, I mean, like, this was pulled together pretty quickly. I mean, development of this started, I want to say it was like the last week of December.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and this went up, what was it, May? Was it May? I want to say May.
Yeah, God, it was. Yeah, that wasn't even really that
I,
long ago.
I think it was the first. I think it was the first of May. Um, and that was like the latest that we could leave it, because obviously we wanted to have a decent window for people to actually get the pre-orders in, especially with it being a more expensive kind of product. We wanted, people to actually be able to go, right, okay, well, if they wanted to make it work, they'd have kind of the time to figure that out. Um, so yeah, it was literally like, oh no, it's 29th of April. So yeah, it was like pretty much May. So yeah, I mean, it was what, like, January, February, March, most of it. So yeah, it was basically 4 months um to kind of make that all happen. So like the first 4 months of this year like was just a flurry of just, yeah. Um so not a lot else
So,
was really done the first 4 months of this year.
well, yeah, I mean, especially because I'm looking on the website as well now with it. I totally get it. Plus, it's got to also be kind of hard of obviously like when you launch an item, you're gonna have a lot more like majority of the sales most time are going to be like at the time of when the product is getting dropped and stuff like that. But then at the same time, it's like you're still going to have people who will be like just discovering you now and they'd be like, oh well, I've got to do this, and then adding into all the production time it takes, still having to make sure logistics goes through for everything.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I mean, there's definitely been some kind of like speed bumps along the way. Just purely from the fact of not having the experience of dealing with something like this before. Because this is, I mean, Like, I'll be honest, like I bit off far more than I could chew here. Like this is ridiculous. Like, like who does this?
But I mean, I guess it's at least one of those things where you don't really know your limits when you're trying to do something until you kind of do it. Of like, okay, what should we really know to expect? Like, what can we really kind of do going forward with it? And then you can learn those lessons on there for either bigger projects or even more scaled down projects if it ends up kind of being one of those things in the future. Like, for a hypothetical Bracer Box 2 remake, like, I'm sure the last thing you're now going to do is like, we should really make this bigger and charge $400, and it comes with its own wheelbarrow.
It arrives on a pallet for you. I'm fun.
You will need, before, on the pre-order page, you are going to have to put on there and put a consent form that you are forklift certified, because that is the only way you'll be able to receive the delivery.
Oh boy, can you even imagine? Forklift required. I mean,
like,
make headlines.
All the Shenmue fans out there would love it. They were like, finally, my years of practice have finally paid off for this.
My time has come, finally. Oh boy. Yeah.
But yes, on a much lighter shipping note, at least, are you excited? Because by the time everyone's hearing this, I will hopefully have all the links and everything ready to be shilled for folks out there. Are you ready to get the second wave finally out and about? And well, I guess not even just out and about, just announced. People can talk about it.
Yeah,
do
just
things
actually
with it.
public. So yeah, I mean, it's quite funny actually, because two of them are actually kind of public knowledge already. I don't know if you know about the other one actually.
It's not the very girthy one you had sent me earlier, is it?
No. That was
Okay.
that was private.
That's true. I'm sorry. Yeah, that was. I'm gonna have to strike that one from the record. Those were sent in confidence.
Oh yes, of course.
What's the other one?
So the other one was actually available at an Atlas pop-up shop. I believe, I want to say it was like a couple of weeks ago.
Oh, shut up! Yeah, you're right. There was.
Why did they have that pop-up shop?
They did it all through Anime Expo. They had one going all through July for Anime Expo, because I had a bunch of friends go there, and I kept telling people, I was like, send me like pictures and videos of what they have. But the store was like really, really big in terms of like all the stuff they offered, so I didn't ever get like a full shot. I was pretty sure I saw a pen. Was it like branded like with your guys' stuff?
Yeah, no. So they actually stocked all 5 of the original pens and number 6. They actually had a sneak peek ahead
on purpose
of
this time.
Of number 6. and yeah, like I just had a quick Google that. Funnily enough, if you Google Atlas pop-up shop, the top result for me is on Reddit, and it's just someone says today's purchases from the Sega pop-up shop, and lo and behold, there it is. It's right there.
Oh,
so
Black
people
Frost.
Yeah, people actually bought it, so that's cool.
That is really cool. Now, how did that come about? Because I know it, in terms of it, it was basically like a bunch of merch that they had on sale exclusively on their website, but then also the Anime Expo stuff the year. But yeah, like they kind of also treated it like a licensing big collaboration shop, which was cool. So there was literally stuff like they had stuff like the G Fuel collabs they had done. They had like posters. They had, ironically, it was like everything but the video games. Like they had even like the Metaphor strategy guide. Like there's this giant like 400-page like Bible like strategy guide book there. Like they had a bunch of stuff with it on top of the ones you would kind of expect to see the usual customers. So like, was that just them being like, hey, are they do they even have to reach out? Is it just kind of one of those things of being like, hey, we're doing this pop-up shop? Like, how does that even work? Like with like even like revenue share or even things like that?
So they reached out to me and basically said, "Hey, we're gonna do this pop-up shop. It'd be cool if we could, have some of the merch available here." And they kind of asked the question of like, well, is there anything available? What will you have available around this kind of time frame and stuff? And we did have a full discussion about that. But what ended up actually happening was the tariffs. So
Can't avoid him. It's everyone's favorite topic in 2025 is tariffs.
oh, I know. I'm so sick of them, I have to be honest. But hey.
This is how long, by the way, the break between our talk was. When we had last
I know.
talked, we were still coming out of the Suez Canal bullshit, and now when we're like, man, doesn't that look like a quaint problem to have? Like, wouldn't that be
I know,
nice if that was
right?
the only if that was the only bullshit we had going on?
I know, right? Life would be so simple. Um, but no, all the tariffs were announced, and so yeah, it was one of those. So, and at the time, we weren't 100% sure what kind of the impact of that was going to be because we have our pins. Well, the base of them is made in China. Um, and obviously the tariffs at that point were very, very targeted towards Chinese goods. So yeah, that was a very long week. But essentially, what we came to the conclusion of was that actually, under some very complicated laws about country of origin, um, our pins, by the time we're finished with them and have them actually boxed up with the sleeve and everything, and we do the printing on them as well now, by the time that's all finished, the country of origin actually changes to the United Kingdom. So that's a non-issue for today. At the time, though, we turned around to Alice and we're like, look, we need time to look into this, speak to lawyers, speak to, a lot of people who are far smarter than us to even, look into this and kind of make a decision. And we kind of turned around and said, right, it probably makes more sense for us to just send you a shipment now. Which is why you may have noticed back, I don't know, I think it was like 4 months or something, whenever the tariffs first went live, pretty much all the SMT merch on the site disappeared overnight. And that was
Oh
because
yeah, okay.
we made the decision to just send it over to Atlas so they would have something for this pop-up shop because we didn't know how these tariffs were gonna like play out in the long term. So we just made the decision, right, we'll just FedEx it over to you, then you've got it, and it's not going to be an issue of, because I think I mean the tariff numbers were getting silly, because it was just bouncing back and forth, wasn't it, for like a few days, and it was like 140% or something daft. And I have to live in the real world where, ultimately people are not going to pay. I mean, I don't even know what the math is on that. It's like like $45 for a pin or something. I mean, it's just ridiculous. So yeah,
you're gonna need a small loan before getting the XLs. The XLs are gonna at least require a mortgage or two.
I mean, yeah, and I mean, I'm not daft. Like I realize people aren't going to pay that. I wouldn't. It's just it's not worth it at that point. But no, we've solved those issues now. But at the time, we just kind of had to make a judgment call. So that's kind of how that ended up happening, and it just so happened to be that we had Black Frost available at that point. We were still waiting on the others to finish. We said, hey, do you want Black Frost? And that was kind of that.
Well, now I'm gonna have to send some very harsh worded messages to my friends who went to the pop-up shop and clearly blatantly avoided showing me pictures of this so I could have bullied them into sending it. But that looks crazy. I love the design for the Black Frost one as well, but I forget the name. Do you remember off the top of your head? And if not, it's not a big deal. Of the artist you guys had who did the first 10 for those pens?
Now you're challenging my memory. They were commissioned out. But no, I cannot off the top of my head.
You
Because it
were
was that
okay.
long ago. It was that long ago.
So my question I'd asked was, so we know the
Yep.
19th we'll
Yes.
have the new pins dropping. Is it just going to be 6 through 10? Do you have
Yes,
were
it
you
will
able
be.
to scrounge together any of the older ones, slash will there be any hopes for any of the reprints of the other 7?
Okay, so there will be it'll be 6 to 10, 6 to 10. That'll all be available. I literally I have 1 to 5 at the office now, but they need printing. So as soon as they're printed, we'll get them on the site and they'll be made available again.
So what? Hold on,
So
sorry. So when you say you have them but they need printing, like, do you just mean like so you have the pins but not the box?
so I have the pins. So we actually print the detail layer on ourselves now. So
Oh, yes,
uh,
yes, yes. Okay, that makes sense.
yeah, so we've got like the base pins, but they just need printing. But right now there's a bit of a backlog with printing because of the braces supply box. If you notice, there's a running theme here.
Yeah, in case everyone's wondering why we decided to spend the first hour talking about this giant box before the pens, now you know who the culprit will be if you ever are like, why is X taking so long for Y? Blame the box. It's the
Yeah,
logo of
literally.
2025. Just blame the box.
Blame the box.
It
Why?
is. It's the pen box unofficial slogan for the year 2025. Just blame the box.
Blame the box. I mean, it's accurate, like literally. And then it's the thing though. I have people and they're like, "Oh, so you're gonna do one for second chapter, right?" And I'm like, "I."
My uncle who works at Penbox actually said they're printing the entire script of part 1 and part 2 in a steelbook box as well. It's just going to be it'll look like 2 Bibles duct taped together.
That sounds wild. I
Bilingual,
should probably.
by the way. It'll
I
be
sh-
English on one side, Japanese on the other. Because why? I mean, if we're already killing half a forest to print one of these things, we might as well make sure everyone can read it.
Sure, that makes sense to me. Um, Let me hold on. See, I was literally about to send you an image, and then it blue screened. Now I have to find the image
Atlas
again.
did not like it. Atlas was like, we heard the bad mouthing and stuff for it. Um, that's at least got to be kind of nice though, especially because it was after that convention with the Cat Sith one. What was it? At least kind of cool to have your stuff in a store? Because I don't think we've talked about it before, but have you guys ever had like an official like licensed like either like brick and mortar partner or like have any like video game stores tried reaching out to you and be like, "Hey, we'd love to carry like this?" Because I see that a lot with stuff from like other pen companies out there. There's like a couple of the big ones, whether it be like Udon or whoever, will like sell their pens to like brick and mortar stores or distributors.
Yeah, it's something I'd love to happen, but it just hasn't really transpired essentially. Yeah.
I have.
There's
You've
been a
sent me
couple
you
of
you've sent me an
conversations.
image. You've sent me an image. I have a lot of opinions on right now. I can't believe you just sent that
Okay.
here. But no, I want to finish our point though because I think that is a big one, especially nowadays with stuff like that. Of like, so it's at no it at least like we can't say it hasn't happened yet due to any lack of interest on your end. So you're definitely up for it if there's like something that it seems like the right place, right time.
Yeah, I think to be honest, I think it's probably more just a result of the vast majority of what we do being to do with Neon Falcom, and it just being that kind of niche that the vast majority of stores just aren't really confident that they're going to be able to actually shift it, by the time they get it to their local area. And we're kind of seeing the kind of reverse of that happening, especially with the trading cards. A lot of people in the Pinbox community Discord, they've been reaching out to their like local card shop, and they've just been getting told no, because we just don't think there's going to be a demand for it because it's just too niche. And then people go, right, well then I'll have to just order from Pinbox. So it's kind of weird how it's kind of, you see this kind of reverse happening where people want to buy it locally, they can't, and then they just have to buy it online. And more often than not, at this point, a lot of people just come straight to Pinbox for Falcom merch. So yeah,
I think like we're at a weird turning point where I feel like it's not fair to like put too much pressure on First Remake, but I will say I think if you look at how that series, and especially Falcom as a company, has been trending, I don't expect that game to come out and be a lock for like Game of the Year and all these things and become like the next like big Persona 5. I don't think that's a fair expectation to put on that game, especially for a remake of a PSP game from over a decade ago. But I will say, especially in a year where we've had stuff like Expedition 33 blow up from literally nothing,
yeah,
I think that it is primed to succeed as well as it is, as long as it like hits and delivers, and from everything they've shown, it is looking really strong. They're doing a good job of having it come out worldwide, which is practically allergic to Falcom for the last couple of years. It's multi-platform and worldwide. Like how many monkey's paws did we have to use to get this to happen?
all of
So
them.
I am very optimistic. I'm very excited for it. I think it's definitely one of the most interested games I have for the rest of this year, and probably also helps. It's like in terms of JRPGs, it's kind of funny. It's lined itself up there of one of the biggest for the holidays, because outside of like Pokemon and Digimon, which are very different types of RPGs, there's not a lot of other ones similar to it. So it's in its own circle. It looks good. It has a lot of very loud fans in its corner. So like I am excited for it. I think even other things with it, like you mentioned, the card game, the fact that like we're getting that as a thing in English still boggles my mind to this day, and the reception to it has been way larger than I think most people would have expected, even though obviously card games in 2025 is a extremely weird and extremely volatile market.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I mean, I was surprised that it was getting an English release. No, what's this?
Bad news?
You there?
Yep.
Okay. I thought my PC had gone again because it just went
Oh
black screen. I don't
no,
know
no, you're
what's
good.
going on here. Okay.
You're good.
Yeah,
So,
no, yeah, no, I was surprised by the cards getting an English release. Very surprised. But I mean, there's definitely a market for it though. Yeah.
I mean, if you had told me back when we last talked that one of the new, like, if I had told myself, or even when we were talking back then, that one of the new top five most profitable and popular card games out there right now is based off One Piece, even as a giant One Piece fan, I would not have believed you. So like, it's a never say never for anything. Like, it's kind of crazy. Like, even things people would assume are slam dunk successes don't necessarily become successes overnight. Like even like with Disney's card game, like that took a while to really kind of ramp up and get big, versus like there was a Star Wars TCG that came out. People
Yeah.
thought Star Wars Unlimited, they thought was going to be dead on arrival because Star Wars has been cursed with very unsuccessful and very unprofitable card games, and nope, they've got a really hardcore fan there who are enjoying it and stuff. So I'm interested for it. It'll be one that I will definitely like pick up. Of like, I want to crack open some packs. I want to see like the art. I want to check it out and things like that to try and support them. The interesting thing that obviously always gets more hooks into it for it, of like, if you can get a scene in behind it, is that's where uh, it will really help, because it's that thing of, if it is something that you can either play and have a community around, that is a great way to build up and spread word of mouth, because it's like people playing it, people buying it, people selling it. Like those three circles, when they cross over together, usually lead to something exploding when it comes to trading cards.
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
But speaking of things that are not made of cardboard, but will probably ship in cardboard, you've sent me an image here, and
Oh.
I want to just say I'm ashamed to myself how quickly I zoomed in to pin number 9. My first inclination was, all right, I need to zoom in as quickly as possible to this thing. And which, by the way, I don't know, was this on purpose? But I no, I guess not, because pen number 8 breaks it. But I was like, man, we almost had a lineup of all crotch exposed pens. That would have been a nice first of everyone's kind of got it all going on there. But so can I at least can I say who we're referring to
Of
here?
course, yes, of course, of course, of course.
Okay, so as we talked about, we've got Black Frost, Cat Sith. Are you a
Mm.
Cat Sith or a Kate C guy? Some people call him Kate C, Kate Sith, depending on either the game or the lore.
I've always been a Kate Sith guy, but I mean, I could be wrong. I'm more than happy to hold up my hands and say I don't know for sure.
This is like, I always treat it like an Aerith thing, where everyone's
Yeah,
wrong, no one's right. There's no, and especially this one, because it is based on lore. Like it's already like we've got language barrier on top of like folktale stuff. It's a recipe for disaster in terms of pronouncing. But yes, we've got uh, Kate Sith, McCoy, Preta, and Sudama, which is such an interesting collection, because I think if like you look at it compared to the first 5, who, for anyone who don't remember, there was Nahabino, Amanazako, Pixie, Jack Frost, and Mothman. The second wave is kind of interesting in the sense of like, I think outside of, ironically, Black Frost, the rest are like very notable demons who you see and remember and have appeared for a bunch over the years. Like how did you pick these ones to be wave 2? I think wave 1 is very much like, let's get the basics. We're gonna throw a meme one in there at the end who's also recognizable. Whereas like this one, like what was the kind of deciding factor there?
so I think, to be honest, a lot of it just came from my personal kind of experiences with the games, and I wanted to kind of try and pick demons who you knew, you know, that if you've played the games, mm, realistically, you're going to have encountered the vast majority of these. Um, if you haven't, then you really haven't played very far. At which point, I don't think I'm the target market anyway. um, but yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, like for me personally, I've always been a big fan of Sudama. I don't know. I just think it's really cool. Kate Sith as well. I've always been a fan of kind of his overall design. Um, Black Frost kind of felt like a logical choice given the fact that we already had the Jack Frost. We may see another one in the future. Who knows? But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I felt like it was kind of, I wanted to go lean more into the kind of demon side, but I also wanted it to be a group that people would kind of recognize.
No, and which totally makes sense. Ironically, it was one of those funny ones of, I was like looking at it, and the one that, I don't know, because there are so many ones that I would kind of expect, especially when it is kind of like tied to it. But then the funny one is like every SMT game sort of just has that different batching that you would either think of or associate with them, and sort of put it in there for it. And what's really funny is even something as simple as having like a pre like a I I don't even, I know there is merch of him out there, but there are very few and far examples of it, and is just only extra funny because, as I was alluding to earlier, of me zooming into this one's crotch, was like, okay, are we pre-circumcision or are we post-circumcision? Like, where are we at in the censoring of pen genitalia? A question I didn't think I'd have to ask myself, because I don't know how well you've been following the demon genitalia controversy of this year. Have you heard what happened to Preta recently?
No, I have not.
So there were two examples of him getting nipped and tucked. For the Chinese mobile game Persona 5X, understandably, that one just does not have his little Preta exposed, which that's understandable. We've seen stuff like that before. Changed like demon designs of either like covering up either like breasts or nipples or crotch areas and things like that. Like that's not that surprising for like especially another country released and developed like mobile game. That's more kind of understandable. But then very randomly, because this is the first time it's ever happened in a like proper game, even though this is a remaster, for Raito Remastered, they just full on gave him the Ken treatment. He is just smooth as a baby's bottom down there. There is nothing. No, you couldn't even
what?
like you couldn't even think that there's like, oh well, maybe it's like hidden by the shadow or something out there. It's like, no, it's completely smooth now. And let me tell you, the internet was not happy. It was a it was a weird day on Twitter when I posted that screenshot. I was like, guys, I think we're missing something here. People did not react kindly when they saw that that had been removed.
I mean, it's just rude.
I mean, yeah. My first question: did they consult him? Did they just remove this without asking? Like, how much involvement did he have in the saying? Because I've got to ask. I can only imagine. Like, did this come up when showing this to Atlas for approval? Was it like, okay, how much trouble will I get in for including the because it's not like it's graphic. If you're looking for it, that's on you.
Yeah. I mean, let's be honest. I mean, even the image I sent to you, you got to bear in mind these pins are like 1.7 inches long. I mean,
he's a grower. He's not. Yeah, he's a grower, not a shower. He's not a.
So yeah, I mean, what we're talking about here is like realistically, you're gonna have to get your macro lens out. I mean, but no, I mean, we base our artwork off of the artwork of SMT5 ultimately, and for every release that I'm aware of, like his artwork includes his little Preta. So, I mean, when we were, getting the artwork done for it, it just kind of made sense that it would be there. I mean, it wasn't really something that we thought about, to be honest. And it was never brought up by Atlas either, so
yeah, so
maybe it's an issue now, but it wasn't back then. Who knows?
I don't think we'll be getting any news stories about specifically.
Oh no!
But,
what have they done?
So I sent it to you. I will say it's probably more noticeable when you have them next to each other, but it is just very funny. Of like, it is literally the exact same character model. They just snipped it off.
I mean, it does have to raise the extremely childish question of what did they do with Mara for that then?
Oh no, that's the best part. He's still there, cock and ball. That's the thing. That is the thing. He's the only one. By the way, Incubus is another one. Like Incubus is literally just a little imp guy who is just floating with like a hornet-sized stinger between his legs, sticking out between his legs. Those are all still there. He's literally the only one who got removed.
Nah, and that's not right. Nah.
So
he got done
it's
dirty.
because like normally in TV and movies, especially in the West, we're weird about male genitalia. But if it's flaccid, go for it. We don't care. If it's directly in your face, if it's a green giant cock on a chariot, that's probably not gonna fly. But then for this guy to be the only one affected, it's like how is he not going to take it personally? Like this is clearly going to upset him.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean,
So if anything,
how-
Pinbox is now doing him justice. We're now getting hashtag
we
justice for
yeah,
Preda.
yes, absolutely. He will have his bits intact. I assure you.
I can't wait for. The only thing that I'm more excited now is the lore. Like the only way it would be better is if we had lore implications for the removal and return of his precious bits.
See, now you
Because
make me wonder now
I
what the
don't I don't
lore
I don't
is.
know if we had talked about this before. I think we might have with the lore of like when you are typing those up and stuff for it, like how much kind of work on your end goes into the like back of the box like text and stuff for these.
So for the vast majority of it, it's based off the in-game text.
Oh, okay. So like when you go into the information section, it is just those ones
Yeah,
on there. Okay, that makes
yeah,
sense.
it's yeah. I mean, because that's the thing. Otherwise, you'd start. Yeah, I mean, it's trying to like create a whole new lore is just asking for a whole lot of questions from Atlas. Because even they were kind of like, oh, you're like pulling the lore from it, and they had to go check it themselves because even they were like, oh, okay, yeah, no, we hadn't thought about that, but it makes sense. Um, but yeah, like the first time we submitted it, they were like, "Oh, what's this?" Like, and I was like, "Oh, it's the lore from the game," and they were like, "Huh, okay, we'll check that and get back to you." So yeah, I think that's something that they kind of forgot about slightly. But then again, I mean, it's a completely different team that handles licensing to the actual development of the game, so it's not that unexpected, to be honest.
No, and kind of going back to the lineup as well for it. Another funny one because yeah, you'd mentioned I think Kate Sith I see some stuff for as well. The other funny ones of like yeah, honestly, it's the Mokoi, Preta, and Sudama especially like you don't see a ton of, but are I would say in that little guy category of just like they're not like overly aggressive looking. You're normally going to run into them or at least see them enough early on that like no one who's
Yeah.
booted up SMT5 isn't going to have seen or be familiar with these ones. And I have a soft spot in my heart. I really like McCoy's design, especially from stuff like when playing in Nocturne, but even the other ones with it of who doesn't love a little weird Australian guy with a boomerang.
Well, yeah, exactly. I mean, you can't really go too far wrong, can you?
So the other thing I was going to ask with it, so I assume the way these are being put up is you can get them a la carte if you want, or you have the bundle as well.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. So if
So
there's just one that you want, then you can just get one. But you can also get a bundle at a discounted price. So
for you guys, do you see does it kind of waver depending on what the release is? But do you ever see like is it like okay, we clearly have more of a winner in terms of like I don't think I would be giving you any news you'll probably be surprised. Black Frost will most likely be like the most popular out of five, but is it one of those things do you ever get surprised with how many people go with the bundle more than the sales of like one? Because I'd be like, it must be kind of hard in terms of knowing like how many of these to print ahead of time, especially now not doing pre-orders.
yeah, I mean I mean this is kind of the double-edged sword of it, isn't it? It's you just don't know. Um, you can kind of walk into things expecting, like Jack Frost is always gonna outsell pretty much all the others. That's just kind of what it is. So I expect Black Frost to do pretty well. But no, I mean, I hope all the others, find some love as well. But no, I expect Black Frost will be the best seller there, by far. So
I mean, you've got a lot of people covered here. You've got Australians, cat
mhm.
lovers,
Yep.
Atlas fans, nudists, and general appreciators of orbs with circles.
Yeah, pretty much. So yeah, I mean, hopefully, there's something there for everyone. And if not, then I guess you gotta wait for the next wave, which will be in another 2.5 years.
I was gonna say, do you want to just load the barrel right now and shoot yourself in the foot? Do we want to announce 11 through 15, and we'll see you in 2030?
I could announce it now, and then yeah, we could leave it to 2030. We could do that.
If we were really smart, what we would have done is recorded this 2 years ago and then post it now to see how many things we got wrong and right.
I mean, we could just proceed to record the next one, in 10 minutes and see how that goes in 2.5 years.
Now, I gotta ask you, by the way, because I had to pull up Sudama because I'm like, I'm trying to remember the lore specifically of Sudama, but I did get reminded. I'm gonna send you a picture of this.
Okay.
Sudama has looked pretty similar for pretty like 5 years of games he's been, but the first game he was in was SMT2. This is what he looked like. It's still basically the same thing, but in a rock. But it is very funny. These are the exact same things. Like it is the Sudama from SMT2 is very drastically different.
Yeah. I mean, there have been a number of kind of like redesigns, I guess you could call them, for demons. I think probably one of the more noticeable ones for 5 is Angel.
Oh yes, which even even is the funny one where like there will be times where actually here's a great one. This was a funny one. Did you ever get around to playing Vengeance yourself?
No, I have not Vengeance at least.
So with Vengeance, they had to do a not a retcon, but kind of like an addition retcon, where for the longest time Lilith has been a very famous demon in lore and just in the SMT games in general, and they added a new version of Lilith as one of the main big bad guys. And so now in the game, like there are two Liliths, both the lore-wise the exact same kind of creature, but design-wise could not look any more differently. And that was a funny one where like for years people were like, "Oh yes, like this very classic look from SMT3 version of Lilith." Most people assume, and even if you're still playing something like Persona 5, that's the version they still use. Whereas like now you have like this more likely to be popular version, and definitely a lot more of a different modernized take with it. It's like that's always the stuff that like I love seeing, like the redesigns, or even not even redesigns, like just different artists take on the different demons, in the sense of like, especially when like we're talking about stuff from mythology, I don't ever look at one thing as sacred. Of like I like seeing redesigns. I like seeing like what do different people interpret from these different kind of creatures, or like different mythological beasts and stuff like that.
Yeah, 100%. I think a redesign every now and again is a good thing. But it does go kind of back to what you were saying before about when you license a title from Atlas, it has to be that title. It's the same with like redesigns and that. If you want to do like an older design of it, you have to get a completely different license for that. So like we can do the old school version of Sudama you sent. Without getting a completely different license to do that. So, yeah.
So, without getting hopefully too much into behind the scenes baseball here, you had mentioned, and it must just be kind of one of those things where I look at it and it's like it doesn't really register until I think about it. But yeah, even on your guys' cover image for your social media and stuff, like you have the SMT5 Vengeance logo there. Was that a conversation you guys had sort of had over the last couple months, or was there just an idea of something that kind of popped in of like, hey, this would be fun to do specifically from Vengeance that we wouldn't be able to do with just the SMT5 license?
Yeah, there was definitely a few elements that we saw from Vengeance that I kind of looked at and went, yeah, no, that I think we could really make some cool designs with that. And then there's also some new demons that are kind of introduced in Vengeance as well, whose designs are just really cool.
Are you ready to try and pronounce the world's hardest looking word? Because I want you to know, even for a big dumb SMT fanboy like myself, the amount of weeks it took for me to finally nail saying the words Kadishtu and feel like I wasn't butchering it to high health, and it was like.
Yeah, no, I'm not even going to try that one, I'm afraid.
But no, yeah, because SMT5 Vengeance has so many cool new things they implemented, like either demon or even specifically character design wise. Like my big one that I've always been
Yeah,
shocked about, the game's been out for over a year, and there's been so much SMT5 merchandise out there that has Nahabino. There is literally been zero items outside of Japan that have the like purple hair version, the one with like the ninja mask and like the shorter hair. And like I think that design is such a cool take on that character, but all we still see, and usually stuff that still gets put up for sale licensing wise, is only for the old one with the long blue hair.
yeah. Um, yeah, I think I actually prefer the Twilight form, to be honest.
They're both really good, because that's a funny one. Like I very rarely meet people who like don't like one over the other, but it was that thing of they are so
They're both
different
solid
in a way that it
designs.
kind of, yes, they're very like they both stand out very cool. And I think ironically, I think if it was just the same power set, they just looked different, I think I actually still might prefer the original. The thing that I give the edge to for the Twilight design is that his little weird hand laser sword thing turns into like a scimitar like sword instead. Like
Yeah.
that was just enough for me that I was like, okay, that's really sick. I'm gonna have to give it to you for that one. But yeah, there's too many things. That's always the tricky part, especially when it comes to like merchandise of things. Like I always am curious about why companies, and again, like you don't want to like just kind of like leave it up for like a free for all, but like has there ever been stuff where, whether it be like you posted on socials or even like a community forum or Discord, where it was like, hey, clearly we have the license for this, what is something you guys want to see that no other company is kind of doing? Because like there are always so many little things that I see that I'm like shocked that it's like, okay, this company has the rights to this, why do they never make X item?
Um, I think a lot of the time it's just purely a resources issue. Um, it's generally a resources issue, or even though you have a license to do something, it's not always that straightforward to actually do it. Um, like I've worked with, a couple of companies, and I can tell you like one in particular was just borderline impossible to get anything actually approved. Um, Even though you have a license to do it, if you don't get the approval, you just don't get anywhere. And a lot of the times, I mean, I've also spoken to to other companies about licensing their things, and it's weird. Like a lot of companies just have a strict policy regarding artwork. They won't not provide you anything. And
Is
then
that
at the
just from
same
like
time,
just wanting to like make sure you have your own and don't want to like license out stuff that they've created
I,
in house, or like like what do you think the reason would be?
I honestly I don't know. It kind of baffles me because from my perspective, it's like, well, if I'm licensing that property, then surely those assets are what represents that property. Uh, but they'll just turn around and say no, and then you'll go, okay, then cool. So what? We have to like make our own assets then? And they go, well, no, you can't do that either. And it's like, well, then what am I licensing here? You know, like, I've had discussions like fall apart just purely from that angle, because it's like, well, what am I licensing? Like if you're not providing the artwork and I'm not allowed to create artwork, then what are we doing? um, so yeah, I don't know. I mean, I can't speak for other companies. Obviously it's highly dependent on who, you know, what it is and who they're talking to. But yeah, like some companies, they're just strange in how they want to conduct business, I guess. Um,
Would you? Because this kind of goes back as well to like how much runway like you feel like you have versus like want to kind of give yourself to work with. With your current kind of plate of stuff you have right now, are there still companies that you're like, oh, I really want to try and work with X company and get it out there in a way that you could see happening, but just hasn't been able to like manufacture it into happening yet?
um, there's there's definitely IPs that I'd love to work on. Um, but I know for a fact right now, I just don't have the time. Like even if they were to email me tomorrow and be like, "Oh, hey, like I'd have to seriously sit down and like try and figure out, right, have I actually got the time to actually do this right now? How would that look like? And yeah, just try and figure out like, is this something that's actually viable right now? Um, and then it also depends on kind of what time frame they need things working to as well. So yeah, it's kind of one of those. There's definitely stuff that I'd love to work on, but like right now, like my plate's just that full. Yeah, it's kind of one of those. I think there is one that I keep kind of in my head. I'm like, yeah, I should probably see if that's something that's feasible. Um, which I reckon could potentially be plausible. And that would be the Yakuza series. I think I could do some really fun stuff with that. Um, but yeah.
I would say I think Yakuza is a really cool one, and at least one that definitely Sega has been surprisingly open with. But I mean, considering how much they've been pushing it over the last couple of years, like I keep joking about on the show all the time. I'm like, they need to just stop fucking releasing games. Like, this year alone, they will have released 4 different Yakuza games in one year. And I'm like, they need to just slow down. Please stop putting these out. I'm trying to
Yeah.
catch up.
Yep.
Um, but the series is still very very popular. Thankfully, outside of Japan as well. This one you do not need to give me any insight on if you have. This one I'm just so morbidly curious of like I don't even know how this would work because this one's such a weird one that it's actually becoming relevant again after 15 years. Have you looked into how incredibly messy trying to get anything lined up for the upcoming release of Trails and oh no, it's Ease versus Trails. Because like that's one that when that got announced is finally
Mm,
coming out over here, I was like, that's insane, especially because it is coming out from such a small publisher. Of like it as a
yeah.
game, it's insane. As a licensing thing, it's not that complicated, but there are still hoops
Well,
to jump through.
it's interesting you say that actually. Because they just announced that it's getting delayed, didn't they? I don't know if you know that
Yes, like I
actually.
think like
Yeah.
not even yeah, like just a couple weeks ago.
Um. Yeah, and one of the people of the development team basically put up this image of um and it was like 3 characters essentially, and they had the studio's name that's working on the game. They had Falcom on the second figure, and then they had a question mark over the last figure, and it was basically like, oh yes, approved, and then denied by like mystery third person. Like, and I'm just sat here and I'm like, who the hell's that? Because I don't even know. I mean, I haven't looked too much into it, but like, I don't know. Like, who else would have rights when it comes to Ease versus Trails? Like, I genuinely haven't got a clue.
Yeah, no, I'm looking at that image now as well. So, yeah, that is weird because let me look it up here because I have the thing pulled up here for the game as well. Yeah, it was published by Falcom in Japan as well, so I was thinking it might be one of those weird cases of, especially with how long ago it was, maybe someone else had a stake in it with it. So I don't know. The only thing I can imagine is just because I know so little about the developer and publisher, Refight Games, of like maybe they have a parent company who then also has a stake in the licensing of it. That could be the mysterious third party, but like the whole thing is weird in the sense of like I would love to know how they got involved, how Falcom got reached out to it, because like that's one of those weird ones of like yeah, there's a market for it, but the how it's coming out is almost more interesting than the game. That's like we know what game we're gonna get. It's just more interesting in the fact that it's happening, who it's by, and how it's coming out is the weird part.
Honestly, so for me personally, the wildest part of it is seeing them get like all of the voice actors in for it.
Yes, which is not an
I,
easy task because
it's
yeah,
great.
I can
It's
only
great. I'm not,
imagine it's different companies
but
involved.
yeah, I mean, it's great that that's happening, but like, it just feels very surprising given, I don't know, just given what it is, you know, it's yeah, I I I want to know who this mystery third party is though.
I'll try and do some digging on mine because I'm also so morbidly curious with it. But yeah, when I saw that got announced as delay, I was not surprised considering they were aiming for summer and it's August. But that is a game I have always been so morbidly curious in because it is. Listen, when you think Falcom, you don't think fighting game. So
No.
it was a weird game even back in 2010.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, getting that kind of announced is a very strange one. Um, but then again, I mean, like we've licensed like that game from Falcon before now. I mean, like some of the very, very, very first T-shirt designs we put out were based around artwork from that game. So, and that was years ago. So I've no idea, genuinely. Um, it's a bit of an odd one.
The other thing I want to ask before I try and get you out of here, so 'cause I don't want to keep too much of your time as well. One of the things I feel like I'd be remiss not to ask, slash, I doubt has not popped up in your head as well, from now working with Atlas as long as you have over the course of getting Wave 1 and now Wave 2 finally out, at a certain point, are you at the point where it's like, I want to do stuff with like I want to do more Atlas stuff in the form of do I want to just do more SMT5 things or is it worth looking at do we want to try and do stuff for more of the modern stuff outside of even just SMT5 and Vengeance? Because obviously it's like okay, Persona is there, but the tricky part is and we even talked about this last time is Persona is there, but as we and even at the beginning of the show, everyone and their mother is also doing Persona merch,
Yeah,
so it's a
absolutely.
way busier market. But the market for Atlas has also expanded a lot. Another game that I'm constantly shocked has not had licensed merchandise almost at all is like Metaphor, and I feel like something with your guys is like
Yeah,
clientele, I feel like there's a lot more fantasy interest in something like Metaphor than just jumping ship immediately from Falcom, SMT to Persona, whereas something like a Rhino or a Metaphor would be maybe a little bit more interesting, especially because there's way less like licensed merch out there.
yeah. Metaphor, metaphor. Like when that was kind of leading up to its launch, it was something that I seriously debated on. Um, but after kind of the reviews came out and just like because it got like top tier reviews. Like it reviewed really really well, didn't it?
Oh yeah, it was
Um,
it came it was perfect timing too because it literally came out the month everyone was putting in all their like awards for like the big Jeff Keighley game award stuff. So
yeah.
that's why it swept in terms of nominations and other things forward. I've released it at a perfect time. Everyone liked it and had this crazy 1 month before the game came out demo where everyone could play like the first 10 hours for free. So everyone was just basically glazing that game like crazy a whole month before it came out, and then months after.
Yeah, I mean, so I really thought it was going to get picked up by a lot of companies for licensing. I kind of got the impression with everything how it was at the time that this was going to be kind of the next Persona 5. That was my kind of impression at the time.
Well, I have good news for you. Would you like to guess how much official licensed metaphor merch we've gotten in the last? Oh my God, yeah, this game's 10 months old now.
It was October, wasn't it? I think.
Yeah, it was. So the only stuff we have gotten, at least that I am aware of like largely released merchandise and stuff like that, that's like officially put out there.
Yep.
They did some stuff with Displate, although in terms of how Displate gets as much stuff as they do, I'm sure they probably have some parent company that like just goes out and tries to license as much as legally possible so that they can
I
produce as many as possible.
yeah.
The Funko Pop just came out, but there's a funny story behind that Funko Pop. I actually kind of want to reach out to the people involved with that because the only reason that Funko Pop came out was because they had a planned release where every game that was nominated for Game of the Year that year, they had reached out to get the rights before the awards, so whoever
Oh.
won was going to get a Funko Pop. So that's why there's an Astrobot one as well. And people knew about this one a couple months
Oh.
ahead of time because they had to load it into the website. So then the night after the award was given out, it was like, boom, here you go. Here's a solid gold Astrobot Funko Pop to celebrate him winning Game of the Year. So if Metaphor had won or any of the other games out there they had gotten the rights for, they were going to put it up for immediate pre-order just depending on whoever won.
Okay.
But yeah, besides that, there was the the strategy guide would count, and then also
I guess so.
they've done one bit of merch in the West with First for Figures with their like new like little figure pen figgies thing. But that's it. That's the extent of it. Which again, you would think from the team who made Persona, like I
Yeah.
was expecting to see this thing shoved down our throats like everywhere, and it's been surprisingly tame.
Yeah, I don't know. I really thought it was going to be like the next Persona 5 and there was going to be merch everywhere and but yeah, just hasn't happened weirdly enough. So maybe that is something that I should kind of debate. Um but yeah, I mean it's again though it's time, isn't it? You know, I mean just
There's only so much you to go around. We
there
can't just start
is
cloning you.
there is I've tried. That was a waste of time.
Is that what you meant when you said we had a couple of employees that just didn't work out, a couple of bad clones in the batch?
Yeah, had to get rid
Had
of
to
them. They were terrible.
had to they just went full Cronenberg on you.
Yep, yep, yep. No, you had to. Yep, no, that didn't work out. Uh, but yeah, I mean, it's one of those. Yeah, I mean, I still need to get around to actually like finishing my playthrough of Metaphor. It's just such a long game.
They all are. That's why I was like, I was so happy playing Raito. A because it is not a turn-based RPG, so that was a nice change of pace, just gameplay-wise as well.
Mm,
Raito was 30 hours, like on the dot for me. It was like 30 hours plus there was some side quest and new game plus I could do if I wanted, but I was like, it was so refreshing to have a game not go into like triple digits on the clock. I was very happy.
I kind of felt the same way about Expedition 33.
Oh no, same on that one. But I mean, yeah, that's another one where it's like I could wax poetic about that game for so many reasons on that one. That one could get that series can get as mainstream or whatever as it wants. I could not be happier with like how well that game did and how awesome that whole team seems to be. Like they super deserve it.
Oh, 100%, 100%. But it was just nice to have something, just play something, and it was just like it goes at a pace, you know. Um,
My new favorite guilty pleasure with Expedition 33 is every now and then on social media I'll find like people interviewing or asking Charlie Cox questions about the game, and he's just like, "Listen, man, I was in there for like 6 hours. I don't really know what to tell you." He's like, it's like I just love like all these people coming up because it's not like anyone's coming up to him being like, "What, Charlie Cox? You're a fake fan. You only know the person you were paid to be." It's like no, everyone's like, "Oh my God, Gustav was such a like Gustav is like my favorite character of all time. He like changed my life. Like I love your take on the character." And he's just like, "Oh, cool, man. You want like a Daredevil picture? Like, can I do anything?" He's like, he was just like, it's like it was like such that like quote of like for him it was just another day in the booth. Like he really had like no idea what he was getting into.
it's funny as well because like I don't think any of them did, you know, and
No, not at
I
all.
mean it's just funny to think that like just the perspective from the other side of it, like of just people being like, yeah, it's just a small little thing that you know can knock out in 6 hours apparently.
Which is extra wild because like they're like my favorite thing with that game as well is like they were literally like posting on Reddit like not even like 5 years ago looking for help on the game. It's
I
like
know, right?
we've got a little project. Anyone who wants to help, please just don't let us make Ubisoft games anymore. We're just trying to make
I
something
know.
something else. It's not a Ubisoft game.
It's the thing, you got to give the little guys, you know, a chance. You know, that's the thing. It's
Well, before I kick myself out of here, we would normally do this in the beginning, but we're kind of already on the whatever we've been wanting to play or get back to playing. Do you have anything you want to give a shout out to? Have you been watching or playing anything recently you want to give a shout out to?
um I've purposefully not played anything since finishing Expedition 33 because simply because I know how much work I have for these next 2 months and I don't want to risk falling into the trap of another Expedition 33 where I refuse to leave my sofa to play it. But I did fall into another trap, unfortunately. And that was discovering Cobra Kai.
Oh, very. I
Mm.
mean, good news. You don't have to wait many years in between
I
seasons.
know, right? I know,
Are
right? That's
you
paying dividends right now.
are you enjoying it? Slash, what season are you on?
So I am on season. think I've just started season 3.
Okay, so they're officially out. You're out of the YouTube Red era. They now have the Netflix budget, so that's good. It only gets better
Oh, was
from
that
there.
YouTube Red? Was it?
It was, yeah, Cobra Kai season 1 and
Ah,
2 was in that weird era where YouTube
wow.
was like paying for premium shows, and it was so funny because like they were paying for original movies, they were paying for original shows, and Cobra Kai was the only thing that lived out of that. Like everything else
Wow.
got either panned, shunned, forgotten, sent to the annexes. Like which is funny because I think on the outside, I think it looked the most creatively bankrupt of like, oh, okay, we're gonna rehash Karate Kid
Yeah,
with the
that's why I
bad
avoided
guy
it.
as the main. Yeah, and it's like, and it only like, and the only reason Karate Kid had the resurgence it did was because of Cobra Kai, which is so crazy. Like the fact that even the new Karate Kid movie that came out, like I had a bunch of fans, I had a bunch of like friends like who were fans of Karate Kid watch it, and even though it was good, they were still like, it's not as good as Cobra Kai. Like that, it's like positioned itself that high now that like you're trying to live up to the quality of like this show, which is crazy.
Well, that's why I kind of checked it out in the end because like Cobra Kai finished, and then like I kept hearing people say good things about it, and I was like, well, if it's finished and people are still saying good things about it, and we don't have a Game of Thrones situation on our hands, then maybe I should give it a shot. So I went back, I did my due diligence, went through the original Karate Kids, and yeah, it's wild, like going from the original Karate Kid straight into Cobra Kai and just seeing that time jump. Like that is wild TV.
Plus, I feel like a good show you can have on to like relax and watch, but also if you need to like do something in the background,
They're
like
short.
Good peripheral vision show.
Like they're short. That's the dangerous part. Because they're like 30
Oh yeah,
minutes.
then you're just burning through a season in a day.
Yeah, because you're like, oh, well, it's only 30 minutes. The next one, like, oh, then you cliffhanger, and you're like, well, it might be 11:30 at night, but it's just it's half an hour. Like, it's half an hour. Then you're at 12, and you're like, well, it's only half an hour, right? I mean, and then you're clocking on 1 o'clock, and you're like, God damn it, it's happened again.
Yeah, you were so lucky you did not have to suffer through the years of waiting.
Oh, I know, right?
Seasons.
That's already paying dividends, because like finished season 2, and I was just like, okay, well, that's the next half an hour of my life gone. Like, just no questions, but the fact that like there was like a 2-year gap there is like, oh god, I can only imagine.
All right, well, I'm glad we could get some Cobra Kai love on this show, which I probably have not talked about in like 6 months, so I appreciate that, Rob. But besides living in your soon-to-be box palace, throne palace place in Pallet Hell, where can people find you? Where do you want them to find you? Where can we throw our money at you besides pinbox.com? Where are all the socials for you?
Pretty much all the socials are just Pinbox Ltd. Yeah, I think that's pretty much all of them. I think Bluesky is just pin.box. So yeah, we're pretty easy to find on them. Yeah, if you want kind of like more kind of behind the scenes and that sort of stuff, then honestly the best place to get it is on the Pinbox Discord server. I probably share and say far too much on that place. So yeah, but yeah, a lot of the times, I'll put up, little teasers of stuff that, as it comes in to me, or I'm like working on it, some videos of like prints, going on the pins and stuff, So yeah, if you're like interested in like the actual like behind the scenes of like production and that sort of stuff, then I'd highly recommend checking that out. I imagine there'll be a lot of stuff on there over the next sort of couple of months as we're getting the new premises all sorted out and prepared. So, but it's it's a cool place to just hang and chat with other people as well. I'm constantly surprised by how many people that are actually on there. But yeah, otherwise that's pretty much it for me. I'm a bit of a recluse.
I don't know if you can call it a recluse when you're also just working yourself constantly all the time, but it's a form of reclusism nonetheless.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense. It's kind of by choice.
Everybody make sure you buy all the pins, buy one for your nan, buy one for your pastor, your rabbi, whoever you think would be offended by these mostly unpantsed demons. Get one for everyone in your life. Send one to your congressman. Just get them all before we're paying $900 per pin. That's what you need to know. Listen, Rob, we're living in a world where we now don't wait for things to get cheaper. We just live in a world where you either can't afford it or you have to buy it before the price goes up due to reasons outside of your control.
Yeah, pretty much. Actually, that's probably something I should probably have a very quick note on, if you don't mind.
Oh no, please.
So at the end of August, De Minimis comes to an end.
Oh God, yeah.
Yep. So I mean that could change between now and then though. So who knows? But as it
We are
stands
we are
today,
known for kicking the football down, but yes, this time we are getting stupidly close, so I am getting more worried about that.
yeah, I think it's going to go through. Whether or not it ends up getting backtracked when the postal service collapses, well, that's a whole different thing. But um, um, right now, if stuff gets sent to the US before the end of the month, then you shouldn't get hit with anything. Um, I am currently waiting on the finer details of exactly how everything works after the end of the month, because no one seems to have a clue. The most information I've got right now, and this applies exclusively to the UK. I do not know about any other countries or their postal systems or anything like that. But for the UK anyway, it will be percentage based because I know there's a split between people charging either a flat rate or a percentage of the goods. The UK will be percentage based. And basically the US will not accept any parcels that don't already have duties paid on them. So, in short, what that means for anyone in the US ordering anything from the UK is you'll have to pay the duties at the point of purchasing the item. Now, whether the seller decides to just eat that cost, because the UK is 10%, that's up to the seller. But essentially, if you're having something sent from the UK to the US, if it gets delivered, then you do not have to pay any duties on that because they literally won't accept it in the postal system if there hasn't already been duties paid on it. I hope that makes sense.
Let me tell you, if anyone does have any questions, I have been in the logistics industry, whether by choice or not, for many years. So let me even tell you, even at my day job, I've had to explain the de minimis thing to people, and even they in the business are like, "Oh, this." It's a whole thing. So yeah, if people have
Yeah,
questions,
it's
don't feel dumb.
complicated. It's really
Feel free to
complicated.
do research. That it is made to be complicated, but also if you ever want or have questions about it, there are a lot of resources out there, and even on our Discord, I have talked about it for stuff before. So we are all painfully and unwillingly a part of this, whether you want to be or not. Which you love to see it, but hey, at least we can end on a high note, everybody. We can talk about the realistic economic turbulence that is 2025. But hey, you know what? You know who also has economic turbulence in the year 2025? Patreon.com/a network. If you like keeping the lights on and helping me afford food. I was going to think of anything luxurious. No, it usually just goes to bills and food. Patreon.com/SMTN. It's the best place to support this show. Get it early, get giveaways, all the fun stuff that goes into that. Patreon.com/SMTN. Big thanks to everyone who does support us there. And also bigger thanks to all the $5 and up executive producers. So wanted to give a quick shout out to all the $5 and up people. Thank you so much to Twist, John Massey, Jesus Coon, Crazy Sloth, Michael Wilson, Stuart Bateman, Budweiser Tall Cans, Carlos Hernandez, Cross Renren, Winnie, Jagingus, Gorosero, Solaire, Stephen Yip, and Patrick Dissert all have. Thank you all so much for supporting. Rob, thank you so much for letting me steal you for so long, and I wish you the best of luck on the launch, as well as all the packing you'll be doing for the rest of this year.
Thank you very much, and thanks for having me back on. It's always fun to have a chat with you.
Yes, and also I do love seeing people's collection posts, whether they have some of the pen box stuff or have a whole crazy amount. We have in our Discord, we always are posting either stuff we find or have on there, or even just on like the Facebook group or Twitter, wherever you guys are interacting. If you pick any of these up, please let me know. I'm always morbidly curious what people like, what people want to pick up. You never know whose favorite whatever is what, so I'm always morbidly curious about stuff like that. So let us know on the socials. All the links for stuff will be in the show note description for the store pages, and then all the socials for both of us as well. But everybody, Thank you for listening. We will see you next week with hopefully better news in the world of shipping and logistics. But until then, we will talk to you later. Goodbye.
All right, cheers. Take care.